Good evening, and welcome to the Sleep Library. Tonight, we embark on a gentle journey through time, exploring one of humanity's most universal and peaceful experiences, sleep. For as long as humans have existed, we have surrendered each day to the quiet embrace of slumber. Tonight, we'll discover how this most intimate of human experiences has evolved across 9,000 years of history. Close your eyes if you wish, and let your mind wander back through the centuries, from the earliest leaf beds of our ancestors to the memory foam of today. Sleep has been humanity's constant companion. Each civilization, each culture, each era has approached this daily ritual in its own quiet way. Take a deep breath, settle into your most comfortable position, and allow yourself to drift back through time as we explore the evolution of sleep through history. In the gentle mists of prehistoric time, our earliest ancestors were beginning to understand the rhythm of day and night. Picture, if you will, the first humans who chose to settle rather than wander. 9,000 years ago, in the fertile valleys of the ancient world, people were learning to create the very first beds. These were not beds as we know them today. Instead, imagine soft piles of leaves, carefully gathered from the forest floor. Archaeological discoveries in South Africa have revealed the remains of these primitive sleeping surfaces, layers of aromatic grasses and leaves, thoughtfully arranged in shallow depressions carved into the earth. The people of this time understood something we sometimes forget: the importance of comfort in sleep. The leaves they chose were not random. They selected specific plant setters with natural insect-repelling properties, aromatic herbs that would calm the mind, and soft grasses that would cushion their bodies through the long night hours. These early humans were already innovating, already seeking ways to make their rest more peaceful and restorative. During the Neolithic period, as agriculture began to take root, so too did more permanent sleeping arrangements. Communities started to build simple shelters, circular huts with thatched roofs that protected sleepers from the elements. Inside these humble dwellings, families would spread animal skins over their leaf beds, creating the first true mattresses. The rhythm of sleep in these ancient times followed the sun's journey across the sky. As darkness fell, communities would gather around fires, sharing stories and preparing for rest. There were no artificial lights to extend the day, no clocks to divide the night into precise hours. Sleep came naturally with darkness and lasted until the first light of dawn. Excavations at sites like Atali in modern-day Turkey reveal fascinating details about these early sleeping arrangements. Houses were built with raised platforms along the walls, the first bed frames. These platforms were covered with woven reed mats, topped with animal furs and stuffed with dried grasses. Families would sleep together on these platforms, sharing warmth and protection through the vulnerable hours of night. The people of this era also began to understand the connection between sleep and dreams. Cave paintings from this period sometimes include imagery that scholars believe represents dream states, figures floating, animals transforming, scenes that blend reality with the mysterious world of sleep. These early humans were beginning to recognize that sleep was more than just rest. It was a journey into another realm of experience. As settlements grew more permanent, so did sleeping customs. Children learned where and how to sleep from watching their elders. The eldest members of the community often slept closest to the fire, both for warmth and as a sign of respect. Pregnant women were given the softest bedding, understanding instinctively that good sleep was essential for health. The tools for creating comfortable sleep were primitive but effective. Stone scrapers were used to prepare animal hides, removing hair and softening the leather until it became supple enough for bedding. Bone needles allowed for the first sewn covering simple but effective blankets that could trap body heat through cold nights. Weather played a crucial role in sleep patterns. During harsh winters, entire families might sleep in a single pile for warmth, covered with every available fur and hide. Summer brought different challenges: the need for ventilation and protection from insects. Communities developed seasonal sleeping practices, moving bed locations to catch cooling breezes or avoid flooding. Archaeological evidence suggests that these early peoples also began to develop the first sleep rituals. Hearths would be carefully banked before sleep, ensuring coals would last through the night. Certain plants were burned as the day ended, perhaps for their pleasant scents, perhaps for their ability to repel insects, or maybe for their mild sedative properties. The concept of privacy in sleep was virtually unknown. Entire extended families would sleep in single rooms, with multiple generations sharing the same space. This communal sleeping created its own rhythms, the soft breathing of many sleepers, the rustle of bedding as someone turned, the gentle sounds of a community at rest. These Neolithic sleepers were also the first to face the challenges that would plague human sleep for millennia to come. How to stay warm without being too warm. How to remain comfortable on hard ground. How to sleep safely while remaining alert to danger. Their solutions were simple but ingenious: elevated beds to avoid ground moisture, communal sleeping for safety, and bedding materials chosen for both comfort and practicality. As this ancient era drew to a close, humans had established many of the basic principles of sleep that would carry forward through history. The importance of comfortable bedding, the value of shelter, the rhythm of sleeping and waking with natural light, and the understanding that good sleep was essential for health and well-being. These foundations would support increasingly sophisticated approaches to rest as civilizations grew more complex. The legacy of these first human beds, simple piles of leaves and grass, reminds us that the quest for comfortable sleep is as old as humanity itself. In seeking rest, our ancestors laid the groundwork for thousands of years of innovation in the pursuit of perfect slumber. As we drift forward through the sands of time, we arrive in the golden land of ancient Egypt, where the pharaohs ruled and the Nile flowed eternal. Here, along the life-giving river, a civilization arose that would revolutionize the way humans sleep. The Egyptians, with their deep understanding of craft and beauty, transformed sleep from a simple necessity into an art form. Picture the workshop of an ancient Egyptian bedmaker. They are thick with the scent of cedar and ebony. Skilled craftsmen, their hands weathered from years of careful work, shaped the very first bed frames. These were not mere platforms, but elevated structures that lifted sleepers above the cool stone floors of Egyptian homes. The frames were typically rectangular, standing on 4 legs carved from precious woods imported from distant lands. The wealthiest Egyptians slept on beds that were works of art in themselves. Imagine lying upon a bed whose legs were carved to resemble the powerful limbs of lions, or perhaps the graceful curves of papyrus plants. The headboards rose in gentle slopes, often decorated with protective symbols, the Ankh for life, the Eye of Horus for protection, or intricate hieroglyphs that told stories of the gods. Egyptian mattresses were a marvel of their time. Instead of simple stuffing, they used a sophisticated system of woven rope or leather strip stretched across the bed frame, creating a surface that was both supportive and flexible. Over this foundation, they placed the mattresses filled with materials that varied according to wealth and status. The wealthy enjoyed mattresses stuffed with goose down or soft cotton, while others made do with reeds, straw, or palm fibers. The Egyptians were also pioneers in understanding the importance of head and neck support during sleep. They developed the first pillows, though these bore little resemblance to our modern cushions. Egyptian pillows were often made of carved wood or stone, designed to cradle the neck while keeping elaborate hairstyles intact. These headrests were sometimes padded with small cushions filled with soft materials, but their primary purpose was functional rather than purely comfortable. Wealthy Egyptians took their obsession with comfortable sleep to extraordinary lengths. Archaeological discoveries have revealed beds made from solid ebony and ivory, inlaid with gold and precious stones. Queen Hetfirs, mother of the pharaoh Khufu, was buried with a bed that stands as one of the masterpieces of ancient furniture making. Its frame was covered in gold leaf, and its canopy, for the Egyptians invented the canopy bed, was designed to protect the sleeper from insects and provide privacy. The Egyptian understanding of sleep extended beyond mere furniture. They were among the first to develop specific textiles for sleeping. Linen, made from flax grown along the Nile, became the preferred material for bedding. Egyptian linen was renowned throughout the ancient world for its softness and breathability qualities that made it perfect for sleeping in the warm Egyptian climate. The finest linen was woven so tightly and smoothly that it felt almost like silk against the skin. Bedtime rituals in ancient Egypt were elaborate affairs, particularly among the upper classes. Servants would prepare the sleeping chamber as the sun set, lighting oil lamps that cast a warm, gentle glow across the room. The bed would be turned down, fresh linens arranged, and sometimes flower petals scattered across the sleeping surface. Incense burners filled the air with calming scents, frankincense, myrrh, and lotus flowers that were believed to promote peaceful dreams. The Egyptians also understood the connection between sleep and health. They developed some of the earliest recorded sleep remedies, using herbs and oils to promote rest. Lettuce was considered particularly effective for inducing sleep, and lettuce leaves were often placed under pillows or brewed into teas consumed before bedtime. Other sleep aids included poppy extracts, chamomile, and a variety of aromatic oils that were massaged into the skin or burned as incense. Egyptian sleeping arrangements varied greatly depending on social class. The pharaohs and nobles slept in elaborate bedchambers often located in the coolest parts of their palaces or homes. These rooms featured high ceilings to allow hot air to rise, and small windows positioned to catch cooling night breezes. The beds themselves were placed to take advantage of air circulation, and servants with large fans made from feathers or palm fronds would sometimes provide additional cooling. Common people in ancient Egypt typically slept on simpler beds, but even these showed Egyptian innovation. Many homes featured built-in sleeping platforms made of mud brick, topped with reed mats and simple mattresses. These elevated sleeping surfaces protected against flooding during Nile inundations and provided some separation from insects and vermin that might inhabit ground-level floors. The Egyptians were also innovators in terms of sleep scheduling. Unlike many ancient peoples who simply slept from sunset to sunrise, wealthy Egyptians often practiced what we might recognize today as afternoon naps. The intense heat of midday made outdoor activities uncomfortable, so many Egyptians would retreat indoors for rest during the hottest hours, resuming activity in the cooler late afternoon and evening. Children in Egyptian society had their own sleeping arrangements that reflected their status within the family. Infants often slept with their mothers on the same bed, but older children had small beds of their own, usually simpler versions of adult furniture. These children's beds were often decorated with protective amulets and symbols, as the Egyptians believed that children were particularly vulnerable to evil spirits during sleep. The Egyptian contribution to sleep furniture cannot be overstated. They developed folding beds for travel, ceremonial beds for religious purposes, and even beds designed specifically for the afterlife. The tomb of Tutankhamun contained several beds, including a folding military cot that could be easily transported during campaigns and an elaborate ceremonial bed decorated with protective animal spirits. Egyptian textiles for sleep were equally sophisticated. They developed different weaves of linen for different seasons: lighter, more open weaves for summer sleeping, and tighter, warmer weaves for cooler months. They were also among the first to use color in bedding, dyeing linens with vegetable dyes in soft blues, greens, and yellows that were believed to promote tranquil sleep. The legacy of Egyptian sleep innovations can still be felt today. The elevated bed frame, the importance of breathable mattresses, the use of natural fibers for bedding, and the understanding that comfortable sleep requires attention to both physical comfort and environmental factors. All of these concepts that we take for granted today were first developed along the banks of the ancient Nile. As Egyptian civilization flourished for over 3 millennia, so too did their understanding of sleep's importance. They bequeathed to future civilizations not just the physical innovations of bed frames and linen sheets, but also the concept that sleep deserved attention, investment, and care, that good rest was not a luxury, but a necessity for a life well lived. As the Egyptian dynasties faded into memory, a new power arose in the Mediterranean world. Rome, with its legions and its laws, would reshape not only the political landscape of the ancient world, but also transform the very nature of sleep itself. The Romans, with their engineering brilliance and their love of luxury, created sleeping arrangements that would influence Western civilization for centuries to come. Imagine stepping into a Roman villa during the height of the empire. The floors are covered with intricate mosaics, the walls adorned with frescoes, and in the bedchamber, the cubiculum, you find innovations that would astonish even the sophisticated Egyptians. Roman beds were not merely furniture. They were statements of wealth, power, and refined taste. The Romans perfected the art of the raised bed, but they took it far beyond Egyptian innovations. Roman beds, called lectures, were substantial pieces of furniture, often standing 3 feet high or more. The frames were carved from the finest wood, citrus wood from Africa, maple from the northern provinces, or exotic ebony from distant lands. These frames were often reinforced with bronze fittings and decorated with intricate carvings or inlaid ivory and precious metals. What truly set Roman beds apart was their sophisticated support system. Instead of simple rope or leather strips, Roman beds featured a complex network of metal springs or tightly woven rope that created an early form of suspension system. Over this foundation, they placed thick mattresses stuffed with the finest materials available in their vast empire, wool from Spain, down from Germany, or even silk from distant China for the very wealthy. The Roman approach to sleep was deeply intertwined with their social customs. The wealthy Romans did not simply sleep in their beds, they lived in them. The practice of reclining while eating, reading, or conducting business meant that Roman beds served multiple purposes. During the day, beds were piled high with cushions and served as couches for social activities. Only at night were they transformed into sleeping surfaces. Roman bedding was a marvel of luxury and sophistication. The Romans were among the first to develop the concept of layered bedding. They began with a bottom sheet, called a stragulum, made of the finest linen. Over this came multiple layers of blankets and coverlets, each chosen for specific properties. Winter bedding might include thick wool blankets dyed in rich purples and crimsons, while summer arrangements featured lighter linens in cooling blues and greens. The Romans revolutionized the concept of the pillow. While Egyptians had used hard headrests, Romans developed soft, stuffed pillows that were both comfortable and luxurious. These pillows were filled with down, feathers, or soft wool and covered in silk or fine linen. Wealthy Romans often slept with multiple pillows of different sizes, some for head support, others for embracing, and smaller ones for tucking under knees or arms. Roman sleeping chambers were marvels of environmental control. They understood the importance of temperature regulation for good sleep and developed sophisticated heating systems. The hypocaust, an early form of central heating, could warm sleeping chambers from below, circulating hot air through spaces beneath floors and within walls. This allowed Romans to sleep comfortably even during cold winters, and the gentle, even heat promoted deep, restful sleep. Privacy in sleep became increasingly important to Roman society. Unlike earlier civilizations where communal sleeping was common, wealthy Romans began to retreat to private bedchambers for their nightly rest. These rooms were often located in the quietest parts of the house, away from the bustle of daily life. Some Roman villas even featured separate sleeping quarters for different seasons, allowing occupants to follow the sun and prevailing breezes for optimal sleeping conditions. The Romans also developed the concept of the guest bedroom. As their society became more complex and travel more common, Roman homes began to include hospitalier rooms specifically designed for overnight guests. These chambers were furnished with comfortable beds and all the amenities necessary for a good night's rest, establishing traditions of hospitality that would endure for centuries. Roman military innovations in sleep were equally impressive. Roman legions, marching across the known world, needed portable sleeping solutions that could provide comfort and protection in hostile territories. They developed the first military cots, folding beds that could be quickly assembled and disassembled during campaigns. These cots featured leather or rope suspension systems and could be surprisingly comfortable despite their utilitarian design. The Roman bath culture also influenced their approach to sleep. The elaborate bathing rituals that preceded bedtime, beginning with the hot caldarium, progressing through the warm tepidarium, and ending with the cool frigidarium, served as an early form of sleep preparation. The Romans understood that the gradual cooling of body temperature that followed these baths promoted drowsiness and deeper sleep. Roman physicians developed sophisticated theories about sleep and health. They believed that proper sleep position could affect health and even personality. Different sleeping positions were recommended for different ailments. and physicians would prescribe specific bedding arrangements as part of medical treatment. They also understood the importance of sleep timing, developing detailed theories about the optimal hours for rest based on individual constitution and life circumstances. The Roman contribution to sleep furniture included numerous innovations that remain influential today. They developed the first recognizable bed curtains not just for privacy, but for temperature control and protection from drafts. These curtains, made from rich fabrics and often embroidered with protective symbols or family crests, could transform a bed into a private sanctuary within a larger room. Roman mattresses were technological marvels for their time. The wealthy enjoyed mattresses with multiple layers, a firm base layer for support, softer middle layers for comfort, and a top layer that could be adjusted seasonally. Some Roman mattresses were even adjustable, with different sections that could be raised or lowered to provide support for reading or eating in bed. The Romans also understood the importance of bedding hygiene. They developed systems for regular cleaning and airing of mattresses and bedding. Servants were specifically trained in the care of sleeping materials, and wealthy households maintained separate sets of bedding for different seasons and occasions. As Roman civilization spread across Europe, so did their innovations in sleep. Roman sleeping customs influenced local traditions throughout the empire, creating a synthesis of Roman luxury with local practicality. Even after the fall of the Western Empire, many Roman sleep innovations continue to influence European bedding for centuries. The Roman legacy in sleep extends far beyond their physical innovations. They established the idea that sleep deserved investment and attention, that comfortable rest was a mark of civilization, and that the bedroom should be a sanctuary dedicated to rest and rejuvenation. These concepts, born in the marble villas of ancient Rome, continue to influence our approach to sleep today. Their understanding that good sleep required attention to environment, bedding, and ritual created a foundation for all future developments in sleep technology. In their pursuit of the perfect night's rest, the Romans laid the groundwork for our modern understanding of sleep as both a necessity and a pleasure, a daily journey into comfort and dreams. As Rome's mighty empire crumbled and Europe entered what we call the medieval period, the nature of sleep itself underwent a profound transformation. Gone were the marble villas and hypercourse heating systems. In their place arose a new world of castles and cottages, monasteries and manor houses, where sleep became both more communal and, paradoxically, more private than ever before. Let us drift back to a medieval castle on a winter's night. Picture the great hall, its massive stone walls barely warmed by the central hearth, where servants and retainers spread their sleeping pallets across the rushes-covered floor. The practice of communal sleeping, which had faded during the height of Roman luxury, returned with new purpose and meaning in the medieval world. In the early medieval period, privacy in sleep was a luxury reserved for the highest nobility. The lord and lady of the castle might retreat to a private sola, a withdrawing room that served as both sitting room and bedchamber. Here, they slept on grand beds that were often the most expensive single items in the entire household. These beds were not merely furniture. They were symbols of authority, wealth, and lineage. Medieval beds evolved into architectural marvels. The four-poster bed, which would dominate European sleeping habits for centuries, emerged during this period. These beds featured tall posts at each corner, supporting elaborate canopies that served multiple practical purposes. The curtains provided privacy in homes where personal space was limited, blocked drafts in poorly heated rooms, and created a warm microenvironment around the sleeping occupants. The medieval understanding of sleep was deeply influenced by the Christian worldview. Sleep was seen as a time of vulnerability, when the soul was particularly susceptible to both divine visions and demonic influence. This belief led to elaborate bedtime prayers and rituals, and to the placement of religious symbols and relics near sleeping areas. Many medieval beds were blessed by priests, and it was common to keep prayer books and sacred images within easy reach of the sleeping area. Monastic life brought its own innovations to medieval sleep. The monks, following the rule of St. Benedict, developed highly structured sleep schedules that included what they called vigils, periods of nighttime wakefulness devoted to prayer and contemplation. Monastery dormitories were arranged to facilitate both rest and religious observance, with individual sleeping cells that provided privacy while maintaining community. The medieval practice of first sleep and second sleep became particularly pronounced during this period. Historical records suggest that people commonly went to bed shortly after sunset, slept for several hours, then naturally awakened for a period of quiet activity, prayer, intimate conversation, or light tasks before returning to sleep until dawn. This segmented sleep pattern was so common that there were specific terms for the interval between sleeps, and literature of the period frequently references activities during these midnight hours. Medieval mattresses were typically stuffed with straw, hay, or chaff, covered with linen or wool ticking. The wealthy might enjoy mattresses filled with feathers or down, but these were rare luxuries. More commonly, multiple mattresses would be laid to create a softer sleeping surface. The medieval bed often consisted of a bottom mattress filled with coarse materials for support, topped with softer mattresses for comfort. The invention of the feather bed during the late medieval period revolutionized sleep comfort. These thick mattresses, filled with goose or duck feathers, were placed on top of firmer straw mattresses, creating a sleeping surface of unprecedented softness. However, feather beds required careful maintenance. They needed regular beating and airing to prevent them from becoming compacted and uncomfortable. Medieval bedding arrangements reflected the social hierarchy of the time. The quality and quantity of bedding was a clear indicator of social status. Peasants might sleep on simple pallets filled with straw, covered with rough woolen blankets. Merchants and craftsmen enjoyed better mattresses and finer linens. The nobility slept surrounded by luxury silk coverlets, embroidered pillows, and sheets made from the finest linen. The medieval bedroom began to emerge as a distinct space during the later part of this period. As castle and house design evolved, separate chambers specifically for sleeping became more common among the wealthy. These rooms were often located in the most secure part of the building, with thick walls and minimal windows that could be easily defended and that helped retain heat. Medieval sleep was heavily influenced by seasonal changes. Without artificial lighting, people's sleep patterns closely followed the natural cycle of daylight and darkness. Winter nights were long, and people often slept much longer during the cold months, sometimes spending 14 or more hours in bed. Summer brought shorter nights, but also the need to adapt to heat and increase daylight. Children in medieval society typically shared beds with parents or siblings well into adolescence. This practice served multiple purposes. It conserved heat and bedding, provided security, and strengthened family bonds. However, it also meant that sleep privacy was largely unknown to most medieval children, and the concept of individual sleeping spaces was foreign to all but the wealthiest families. Medieval medicine developed specific theories about sleep and health that influenced sleeping practices. Physicians believed that sleep position affected the balance of bodily humors and recommended specific positions for different health conditions. They also developed detailed theories about optimal sleep timing and duration, often recommending that sleep should begin shortly after the evening meal and last until the body naturally awakened. The medieval guild system influenced the production of sleep-related goods. Specialized craftsmen emerged: mattress makers, feather merchants, and bed curtain weavers who developed increasingly sophisticated techniques for creating comfortable sleeping environments. These guilds maintained strict standards for their products and helped spread innovations in sleep comfort throughout medieval Europe. Medieval travelers faced particular challenges in finding comfortable sleep. Inns of the period often provided beds that were shared by multiple strangers, a practice that continued well into the Renaissance. Travelers were advised to bring their own bedding when possible, and guidebooks of the period included detailed advice on how to sleep safely and comfortably on the road. The Black Death and other medieval plagues influenced sleep practices significantly. The understanding that disease could spread through close contact led to changes in sleeping arrangements. Some communities began to question the wisdom of shared beds, and there was increased emphasis on cleanliness in bedding and sleeping areas. As the medieval period drew to a close, the foundations were laid for many modern sleep practices. The concept of the bedroom as a private sanctuary, the importance of quality bedding, and the understanding that comfortable sleep required investment and attention, all of these ideas were refined and developed during the medieval centuries. The medieval transformation of sleep from Roman luxury to Christian discipline, from communal necessity to emerging privacy, created a complex legacy that would influence European sleeping habits for centuries to come. In the flickering candlelight of medieval chambers, surrounded by heavy curtains and piled high with furs and fabrics, our ancestors developed an approach to sleep that balanced community needs with individual comfort, setting the stage for all future innovations in the pursuit of perfect rest. As Europe awakened from the medieval period into the bright dawn of the Renaissance, so too did the art of sleep undergo its own rebirth. The Renaissance, with its emphasis on humanism, comfort, and artistic beauty, transformed sleeping from a mere necessity into an expression of cultured refinement. In the palazzos of Florence, the châteaux of France, and the manor houses of England, sleep became a canvas for displaying wealth, taste, and sophistication. Picture yourself entering the bedchamber of a wealthy Florentine merchant during the height of the Renaissance. The room itself is a work of art, frescoed walls depicting classical scenes, windows fitted with the new luxury of glass panes, and furniture crafted by master artisans. At the center of this splendid space stands a bed that represents the pinnacle of Renaissance craftsmanship and comfort. Renaissance beds were architectural achievements in themselves. The four-poster design, inherited from medieval times, was refined and elevated to new heights of elegance. Posts were turned on lathes to create graceful spirals and elegant proportions. The bed frames were often carved with intricate motifs, acanthus leaves, cherubs, family coats of arms, or scenes from classical mythology. These beds were not simply functional furniture. They were statements of cultural sophistication and artistic appreciation. The Renaissance saw the perfection of the enclosed bed, completely surrounded by curtains that could transform the sleeping space into a private world. These bed curtains were works of art in themselves, made from the finest silks, velvets, and brocades, often embroidered with gold and silver threads. The patterns were carefully chosen to reflect the owner's status and taste. Wealthy merchants might choose designs featuring symbols of commerce and prosperity, while nobility opted for heraldic emblems and classical motifs. Italian Renaissance innovations in mattress technology were remarkable. The period saw the development of the first truly layered sleeping systems. A typical Renaissance bed might feature a bottom mattress stuffed with straw or horsehair for firm support, a middle layer filled with wool for insulation, and a top mattress of soft down for comfort. This layering system allowed for customization of firmness and warmth, adapting to individual preferences and seasonal changes. The Renaissance brought new materials and techniques to bedding production. The revival of trade with the East introduced silk bedding to European markets, though it remained extremely expensive and exclusive. More commonly, the period saw improvements in linen production, with Renaissance weavers developing finer, softer fabrics specifically for bedding use. The thread counts of Renaissance bed linens sometimes rivaled those of modern luxury bedding. Privacy in sleep became increasingly important during the Renaissance, reflecting the period's growing emphasis on individualism. Wealthy families began to design homes with separate bedchambers for different family members, moving away from the medieval practice of communal sleeping. This trend towards sleep privacy was partly practical. It allowed for better rest, but also philosophical. reflecting Renaissance ideas about personal dignity and individual worth. Renaissance sleeping schedules began to shift away from the medieval pattern of segmented sleep. The introduction of improved artificial lighting, particularly better candles, and the early use of oil lamps allowed people to stay awake later into the evening. Social activities, dinner parties, musical performances, literary salons extended the day, gradually pushing bedtime later and encouraging longer, consolidated periods of sleep. The Renaissance bedroom became a space for displaying wealth and culture. Beyond the bed itself, these rooms featured elaborate furnishings, ornate chests for storing bedding, mirrors in costly frames, paintings and tapestries, and sometimes even small libraries. The bedroom was no longer simply a place to sleep, but a private sanctuary where the owner could surround themselves with beautiful objects and contemplate in comfort. Renaissance medicine brought new understanding to the science of sleep. Physicians of the period developed detailed theories about the relationship between sleep, health, and temperament. They believed that different sleeping positions could influence character and health, and prescribed specific bedtime routines for various ailments. Renaissance medical texts included detailed advice on optimal sleeping environments, recommending specific room temperatures, air circulation patterns, and even the ideal orientation of the bed relative to compass directions. The period saw significant innovations in children's sleeping arrangements. Renaissance educators and physicians began to advocate for children having their own beds, believing that proper rest was essential for learning and development. Wealthy families commissioned specially designed children's beds, often featuring whimsical decorations and proportions appropriate for smaller bodies. Renaissance travel brought new challenges and innovations for sleep. As trade and diplomacy increased contact between different regions, travelers needed portable sleeping solutions. The period saw the development of sophisticated travel beds, folding frames that could be assembled quickly, and portable bedding sets that included everything needed for comfortable rest away from home. The Renaissance also witnessed the emergence of seasonal bedding practices. Wealthy households maintained separate sets of bedding for different times of year, heavy wool and fur coverings for winter, lighter linens and silks for summer. Some families even practiced seasonal bed relocations, moving sleeping arrangements to different rooms to take advantage of changing sun patterns and prevailing breezes. Women's roles in managing household sleep became more sophisticated during the Renaissance. The lady of the house was responsible for overseeing all aspects of the family's sleeping arrangements, from purchasing and maintaining bedding to ensuring that guest chambers were properly prepared. This responsibility was considered an important aspect of domestic management and was detailed in numerous Renaissance household guides. The art of bed making became increasingly elaborate during this period. Renaissance beds were not simply unmade and remade each day, but were carefully composed each morning like three-dimensional artworks. Coverlets were arranged in precise folds, pillows positioned at exact angles, and bed curtains draped with careful attention to their visual effect. A well-made Renaissance bed was a sign of household refinement and proper domestic management. Renaissance innovations in heating began to influence sleep comfort. The period saw improvements in fireplace design and the introduction of early forms of bedroom heating. Some wealthy households experimented with heated stones or metal warming pans that could be placed in beds before sleep to provide warmth during cold nights. These innovations allowed for comfortable sleep even during harsh winters. The Renaissance concept of beauty extended to sleeping attire. The period saw the development of specialized nightwear that was both functional and attractive. Wealthy individuals wore nightgowns made from fine linens and silks, often decorated with embroidery or lace. This marked a significant departure from earlier periods when people typically slept in their undergarments or naked. Books and reading became important elements of Renaissance bedtime routines. The spread of literacy and the availability of printed books meant that many people began to read in bed before sleep. This practice led to innovations in bedroom lighting and the positioning of furniture to accommodate bedtime reading. Some Renaissance beds even featured built-in book rests and candle holders. As the Renaissance period concluded, it left behind a legacy of sleep refinement that would influence European culture for centuries. The Renaissance established many concepts we still associate with luxury sleep: the importance of quality materials, the value of beautiful bedroom environments, the connection between sleep and personal identity, and the understanding that comfortable rest required both practical innovation and aesthetic consideration. The Renaissance transformation of sleep from medieval necessity to artistic expression created new standards for what constituted proper rest. In their pursuit of civilized slumber, Renaissance sleepers established many of the principles that continue to guide our approach to sleep today: that rest should be comfortable, private, beautiful, and worthy of our best efforts to perfect. As European powers expanded across the oceans and established colonies in distant lands, the art of sleep traveled with them, adapting to new climates, materials, and circumstances. The colonial period brought together sleeping traditions from different cultures, creating new hybrid approaches to rest while forcing innovations born of necessity and adaptation. Imagine the sleeping quarters of a Virginia plantation house in the early 1700s, where English traditions met American realities. The master bedroom might feature a four-poster bed imported from London, but the mattress was filled with corn husks rather than European straw, and the bed curtains were made from locally woven linens rather than Italian silks. This blending of old world sophistication with new world practicality characterized colonial sleeping arrangements throughout the Americas. Colonial American beds reflected both aspiration and adaptation. Wealthy colonists attempted to recreate European luxury in their new homes, importing bed frames, fine linens, and even mattresses from Europe. However, the expense and difficulty of such imports led to local innovations. American craftsmen developed new techniques for creating comfortable bedding from available materials: pine and oak for bed frames, duck feathers for pillows, and locally grown cotton and flax for linens. The colonial period saw the development of what we now call the rope bed. These ingenious sleeping systems featured wooden frames with a lattice of ropes that could be tightened or loosened to adjust firmness. The expression "sleep tight" derives from the practice of tightening these ropes to create a firm sleeping surface. Colonial rope beds were practical, adjustable, and could be easily repaired with available materials. Colonial sleeping arrangements varied dramatically based on geographic location and social status. In New England, where winters were harsh, beds were often positioned close to fireplaces and surrounded by heavy curtains to trap heat. In the southern colonies, where heat and humidity were greater concerns, beds were raised higher off the floor for air circulation and fitted with lighter fabrics that could be easily washed. The colonial period brought the first significant innovations in American mattress making. Colonial mattresses were typically made from available agricultural materials: corn husks in areas where corn was grown, pine needles in forested regions, and cattail fluff in marshy areas. These materials were often layered and combined to create mattresses that were both comfortable and suited to local conditions. Frontier sleeping presented unique challenges that drove innovation. Pioneers traveling west needed portable sleeping solutions that could withstand harsh conditions while providing adequate comfort and protection. The period saw the development of improved bedrolls, portable beds that could be quickly assembled and disassembled, and innovative uses of available materials for creating comfortable sleeping surfaces. Colonial children's sleeping arrangements reflected both practical needs and changing ideas about childhood. In most colonial homes, children shared beds with siblings, and infants often slept with parents. However, wealthy colonial families began to provide separate beds for older children, reflecting European influences and growing awareness of children's individual needs. The colonial period witnessed significant innovations in bedding hygiene. Without the extensive servant staffs available to wealthy Europeans, colonial housewives developed more efficient methods for maintaining clean, comfortable bedding. They pioneered new techniques for washing and drying heavy bedding materials, and developed seasonal routines for thoroughly cleaning and airing mattresses and bed furnishings. Colonial heating innovations began to influence sleep comfort. The period saw improvements in fireplace efficiency and the introduction of early forms of central heating in some wealthy homes. Colonial innovations like the Franklin stove provided more consistent heat, allowing for more comfortable sleeping conditions during cold winters. Trade with different regions brought new materials and influences to colonial sleeping practices. The China trade introduced cotton fabrics and silk bedding to wealthy colonial households. Trade with the Caribbean brought tropical materials like kapok for mattress stuffing. These new materials expanded the options available for creating comfortable sleeping environments. The colonial period also saw the development of distinctive regional sleeping customs. In the southwest, Spanish colonial influences introduced different bed designs and materials. Adobe houses stayed cool during hot days and warm during cool nights, influencing the types of bedding needed. Mexican and Native American influences contributed new materials and techniques for creating comfortable sleeping environments. Native American sleeping practices influenced colonial innovations, particularly on the frontier. European colonists learned from indigenous peoples about the use of animal furs for warmth, the benefits of elevated sleeping platforms, and techniques for staying warm and dry in outdoor conditions. These influences were particularly important for traders, trappers, and military personnel who spent extended periods away from European-style housing. The colonial period brought new understanding of the relationship between sleep and health. Colonial physicians, influenced by European medical theories but facing new diseases and conditions, developed new approaches to therapeutic sleep. They prescribed specific bedding materials for various ailments and began to understand the importance of sleep environment for recovery from illness. Colonial innkeeping introduced new standards for providing comfortable sleep to travelers. As trade and communication between colonies increased, a network of inns and taverns developed to serve travelers. Innkeepers competed to provide comfortable sleeping accommodations, leading to innovations in mattress making, bedding hygiene, and room design. Women's roles in colonial sleep management were extensive and sophisticated. Colonial housewives were responsible for every aspect of family sleeping comfort, from spinning and weaving bedding materials to maintaining mattresses and ensuring proper hygiene. The skills required for managing household sleep were passed down from mother to daughter and were considered essential domestic accomplishments. The colonial period saw the beginning of American furniture-making traditions that would influence sleep for generations. Colonial craftsmen developed distinctive American styles in bed-making, adapting European designs to available materials and local conditions. These innovations laid the groundwork for American furniture-making traditions that would eventually become internationally renowned. Colonial sleeping practices also reflected changing social attitudes. The period saw increasing emphasis on marital privacy and the importance of the conjugal bed as a symbol of marriage and family unity. Colonial bedchambers became increasingly private spaces, separated from other household activities. As the colonial period drew to a close, it had established distinctly American approaches to sleep that combined European sophistication with New World practicality. Colonial innovations in bedding materials, heating, and furniture design created foundations for further American innovations in sleep technology. The legacy of colonial sleep innovations extends far beyond the historical period itself. The emphasis on practical comfort, the use of available materials, and the adaptation to local conditions established principles that would guide American approaches to sleep for centuries. In their pursuit of comfortable rest under challenging conditions, colonial sleepers demonstrated the ingenuity and adaptability that would characterize American innovations in all aspects of life. As steam engines began to churn and factory chimneys rose toward the sky, the Industrial Revolution transformed not only how people worked, but also how they rested. The 19th century brought unprecedented changes to the world of sleep, as mass production techniques, new materials, and changing social structures revolutionized the most intimate aspects of human comfort. Picture a textile mill in Manchester in the 1850s, its machines running day and night, producing cotton fabrics in quantities that would have astounded earlier generations. For the first time in human history, comfortable bedding was becoming accessible to ordinary working people. Machine-woven sheets, factory-produced blankets, and mass-manufactured bed frames began to democratize comfort in ways that would have been unimaginable just decades before. The Industrial Revolution brought the first truly mass-produced bed frames to market. Instead of the handcraft wooden beds of earlier eras, factories began producing iron and brass bed frames using new manufacturing techniques. These metal beds were not only less expensive than their wooden predecessors, but they were also more hygienic, easier to clean, and resistant to the insects that often infested wooden furniture. Cast iron bed frames became particularly popular during this period. These beds combined durability with decorative appeal, featuring intricate designs cast directly into the metal. The industrial process allowed for complex patterns and shapes that would have been prohibitively expensive to create by hand. Victorian iron beds often featured elaborate headboards with floral motifs, geometric patterns, or even narrative scenes cast in relief. The textile industry's transformation had perhaps the most dramatic impact on sleep comfort. The mechanization of cotton production and the development of power looms made cotton bedding affordable for the growing middle class. For the first time, fine cotton sheets, pillowcases, and blankets became available to people beyond the wealthy elite. The quality and variety of available bedding materials expanded dramatically during this period. Industrial innovation in mattress production revolutionized sleep comfort. The period saw the invention of the coil spring mattress, which provided unprecedented support and durability. These mattresses used steel cores manufactured in specialized factories, assembled with precision techniques that ensured consistent comfort and support. The spring mattress represented a fundamental advancement in sleep technology that remains influential today. The Industrial Revolution also brought new stuffing materials for mattresses and pillows. Cotton batting, produced in textile mills, provided a cleaner and more consistent alternative to traditional stuffing materials like straw or feathers. Horsehair, processed and cleaned in specialized facilities, became a popular mattress stuffing that provided both support and comfort. Factory production techniques allowed for standardization in bedding sizes for the first time in history. Instead of custom-made bedding fitted to individual beds, manufacturers began producing sheets, blankets, and mattresses in standard sizes. This standardization made bedding more affordable and accessible while simplifying the process of furnishing bedrooms. The period witnessed significant innovations in bedroom heating. The development of more efficient coal stoves and heating systems meant that bedrooms could be kept warmer than ever before. Some wealthy homes even featured early central heating systems that provided consistent temperatures throughout the house, allowing for more comfortable sleep during cold months. Urban growth during the Industrial Revolution created new challenges and opportunities for sleep. As people moved from rural areas to growing cities, housing patterns changed dramatically. Apartment living became more common, leading to innovations in space-efficient furniture and bedding. Folding beds, sofa beds, and other space-saving sleeping solutions were developed to accommodate urban living conditions. The growing middle class, created by industrial prosperity, developed new standards for bedroom furnishing. Victorian bedroom suites became popular, featuring matching bed frames, dressers, and other furniture pieces manufactured in factories and sold as complete sets. These suites democratized the kind of coordinated bedroom decor that had previously been available only to the wealthy. Working-class sleeping conditions during the Industrial Revolution varied dramatically. While factory workers often lived in crowded, poorly heated tenements with minimal furniture, the gradually increasing wages allowed many to purchase factory-made bedding that was superior to what rural poor had traditionally used. The availability of inexpensive cotton sheets and blankets improved sleep comfort even in modest circumstances. The Industrial Revolution brought new understanding of hygiene and its relationship to sleep health. The period saw growing awareness of the connection between clean bedding and good health. Mass production made it possible to own multiple sets of sheets and blankets, allowing for more frequent washing and better hygiene practices. Railroad development during this period influenced sleep in unexpected ways. The expansion of rail networks made it possible to transport mattresses, furniture, and bedding across long distances efficiently. This transportation revolution meant that high-quality sleep products manufactured in industrial centers could be distributed to rural areas and smaller towns that had previously relied on local craftsmen. The Industrial Revolution also saw the development of specialized bedding for different needs. Hospitals began using mass-produced medical mattresses designed for easy cleaning and patient care. Military forces adopted factory-made field equipment, including portable beds and standardized bedding systems. These specialized applications drove innovations that eventually influenced civilian sleep products. Women's roles in managing household sleep evolved during this period. While previous generations of women had been involved in every aspect of bedding production from spinning thread to sewing sheets, industrial production freed women from much of this labor. However, it also created new expectations for household management and cleanliness that influenced how families approached sleep and bedroom maintenance. The period brought new retail systems for sleep products. Department stores began featuring dedicated sections for bedding and bedroom furniture, allowing consumers to see and compare different products. Mail-order catalogs made it possible for rural customers to purchase the same factory-made sleep products available in cities. Scientific understanding of sleep began to develop during this period. Early sleep researchers started to investigate the physiological aspects of sleep, leading to new recommendations for optimal sleeping conditions. These scientific insights began to influence manufacturing, leading to products designed specifically to promote better rest. The Industrial Revolution saw the beginning of advertising for sleep products. Manufacturers began to market their mattresses, bedding, and furniture directly to consumers, making claims about comfort, durability, and health benefits. This marketing created new consumer awareness about sleep quality and the importance of investing in good bedding. Child labor laws and changing attitudes toward childhood influenced children's sleeping arrangements during this period. As children were removed from factory work and required to attend school, families began investing more in children's bedding and bedroom furniture. The concept of the child's bedroom as a separate, specially furnished space became more common among the middle class. Innovation in lamp technology during this period began to influence bedtime routines. The development of more efficient oil lamps and early gas lighting allowed people to extend evening activities and read in bed more comfortably. These lighting improvements gradually shifted sleep schedules later into the evening. As the Industrial Revolution progressed, it established many of the systems and standards that continue to influence sleep today. Mass production techniques, standardized sizing, scientific approaches to comfort, and the democratization of quality bedding all originated during this transformative period. The Industrial Revolution's impact on sleep represented a fundamental shift from handcraft to mass production, from luxury to accessibility, and from tradition to innovation. In their pursuit of comfortable rest for growing populations, industrial manufacturers created the foundation for our modern sleep industry and established the principle that good rest should be available to everyone, not just the wealthy few. As the 20th century dawned, The world of sleep stood on the threshold of revolutionary change. The new century would bring transformations more dramatic than any seen in the previous millennia of human rest. From the invention of the inspring mattress to the development of synthetic materials, from the advent of air conditioning to the exploration of space, the 20th century would reshape sleep in ways both profound and practical. Picture a bedroom from 1900, gas lamps flickering against wallpapered walls, heavy woolen blankets, and perhaps a newly purchased steel bed frame from the local furniture store. Now imagine the same room in 1975, electric lighting controlled by switches, synthetic fabrics in bold colors, central air conditioning humming quietly, and a polyurethane foam mattress that would have seemed like magic to earlier generations. This transformation represents one of history's most rapid evolutions in human comfort. The first great innovation of the 20th century came in 1900 with James Marshall's invention of the pocketed coil spring mattress. Unlike earlier spring systems where coils were interconnected, Marshall's design featured individual springs enclosed in fabric pockets. This revolutionary approach meant that when one part of the mattress compressed, it didn't affect the rest of the surface. Partners could sleep without disturbing each other, a concept that would have been foreign to centuries of sleepers who shared beds that moved as one unit. The 1920s brought the mass production of these innerspring mattresses, making comfortable sleep accessible to the growing middle class. Factory production techniques refined during World War I were adapted for peacetime manufacturing, allowing companies like Siemens, Serta, and Sealy to produce consistent, high-quality mattresses at unprecedented scale. The standardization of mattress sizes during this period tween, full, queen, and king created an industry framework that persists today. The Great Depression paradoxically spurred innovation in sleep technology as manufacturers sought ways to make comfortable products more affordable. The period saw the development of less expensive spring systems and the beginning of research into alternative materials. Companies began offering payment plans for mattresses, recognizing that even during economic hardship, people valued comfortable sleep. World War II transformed sleep technology in unexpected ways. Military needs drove innovations in portable bedding, lightweight materials, and quick deployment sleeping systems. Parachute silk was repurposed for luxury bedding. Synthetic materials developed for military use found their way into civilian mattresses and bedding. The rubber shortage led to experiments with new spring designs and alternative cushioning materials. The post-war boom of the 1950s brought unprecedented prosperity and new expectations for sleep comfort. Suburban homes featured master bedrooms designed specifically for rest and relaxation. The period saw the development of king-size beds as homes grew larger and prosperity increased. Television began to influence bedtime routines, though early sets were still typically located in living rooms rather than bedrooms. The 1950s also witnessed the revolutionary development of foam mattresses. Polyurethane foam, originally developed during the war, was adapted for civilian use. Early foam mattresses were dense and firm, quite different from the plush surfaces we associate with foam today. However, they offered advantages over spring systems. They were lighter, more durable, and provided consistent support without the metal fatigue that affected springs over time. Air conditioning, becoming common in American homes during the 1950s and 1960 seconds, transformed sleep patterns and comfort. For the first time in human history, bedroom temperatures could be precisely controlled regardless of outside weather. This climate control allowed for the use of heavier bedding year-round and enabled people to sleep comfortably in previously unsuitable locations. The impact on sleep quality was profound. No longer did hot summer nights mean restless, uncomfortable rest. The space program of the 1960s contributed unexpected innovations to sleep technology. NASA's research into materials that could provide cushioning and support in zero gravity led to the development of viscoelastic foam, initially called slow springback foam. This material, which would later become famous as memory foam, responded to body temperature and pressure, conforming to the sleeper's shape, and then slowly returning to its original form. The 1960s counterculture movement influenced sleep in surprising ways. The period saw experiments with communal sleeping arrangements, floor sleeping, and alternative bedding materials. Waterbeds, invented in 1968 by Charles Prior Hall, represented a radical departure from traditional sleep surfaces. These liquid-filled mattresses provided a unique sleeping experience and became symbols of the era's rejection of conventional lifestyle choices. Synthetic materials revolutionized bedding during this period. Polyester sheets, introduced in the early 1960s, offered advantages over traditional cotton. They were wrinkle-resistant, dried quickly, and were generally less expensive. However, early synthetics often sacrificed breathability for durability, leading to sleep comfort issues that wouldn't be resolved until later material innovations. The development of synthetic fill materials transformed pillows and comforters. Dacron polyester fill provided an alternative to down that was hypoallergenic and washable. These synthetic fills made comfortable bedding accessible to people with allergies and those who couldn't afford down-filled products. The period also saw the development of foam pillows and the beginning of research into pillows designed for specific sleeping positions. Televisions moved into the bedroom during the 1960s and early 1970s began to influence sleep schedules and bedtime routines. Late-night programming extended evening activities, gradually shifting bedtimes later. However, television's impact on sleep was still limited compared to later decades. Most households had only 1 or 2 sets, and programming ended with station sign-offs in the early morning hours. The environmental movement of the 1970s began to influence sleep product manufacturing. Concerns about chemical treatments and synthetic materials led some manufacturers to explore more natural alternatives. The period saw renewed interest in organic cotton bedding and natural latex mattresses, though these remain niche products for environmentally conscious consumers. Scientific sleep research advanced dramatically during this period. Sleep laboratories were established to study sleep patterns and disorders. This research began to influence product design as manufacturers gained better understanding of what constituted healthy, comfortable sleep. The period saw the beginning of ergonomic design principles applied to mattresses and pillows. The development of electric blankets in the 1950s and their refinement through the 1970s represented another significant comfort innovation. These blankets allowed precise temperature control and eliminated the weight of heavy wool blankets. Safety improvements during the period made electric blankets reliable and safe for overnight use. Women's changing roles in society influenced sleep product marketing and design. As more women entered the workforce, time-saving features in bedding became important selling points. Easy care fabrics, wrinkle-resistant materials, and low-maintenance bedding systems reflected the needs of busy households where traditional domestic roles were evolving. The period also saw the development of specialty sleep products for specific needs. Hospital beds became more sophisticated, incorporating electric controls for positioning and specialized mattresses for patient care. Baby products included new crib designs, specialized infant mattresses, and sleepwear designed with safety as a primary concern. Furniture design evolved to accommodate changing lifestyles. Platform beds, popular during the 1960s and 1970 seconds, reflected minimalist design aesthetics and the influence of Eastern philosophy on Western culture. These low-profile beds often eliminated the need for box springs, representing a departure from traditional bed construction. By 1975, the sleep industry had been completely transformed from its 1900 origins. Manufacturing techniques had advanced from handcraft individual pieces to mass production of standardized products. Materials had evolved from natural fibers and steel springs to include a wide range of synthetic alternatives. Understanding of sleep science had progressed from folk wisdom to scientific research. The 20th century's first 3 quarters established many of the foundations for modern sleep technology. The period demonstrated that innovation in sleep comfort was not just about luxury, but about applying scientific understanding and technological capability to improve human rest. These decades proved that the ancient human quest for perfect sleep could benefit enormously from modern materials, manufacturing techniques, and scientific knowledge. As 1975 approached, the sleep industry was poised for even greater changes. Computer technology, advanced material science, and evolving lifestyle patterns would soon drive innovations that would make the previous 75 years of advancement seem like merely the beginning of sleep's technological revolution. As the final quarter of the 20th century began, sleep was about to enter its most scientifically informed era. The period from 1975 to 2000 would witness the convergence of advanced material science, computer technology, and sophisticated understanding of sleep physiology to create sleeping environments more precisely tuned to human needs than ever before in history. Picture a sleep laboratory in the 1980s, where researchers connected with electrodes monitor volunteers throughout the night, measuring brain waves, eye movements, and muscle activity. The data collected in these sterile, clinical environments would revolutionize not only medical understanding of sleep, but also influence the design of mattresses, pillows, and bedding in ways that would reach into millions of bedrooms worldwide. The introduction of memory foam to consumer markets in the early 1980s represented one of the period's most significant innovations. NASA's viscoelastic foam, originally developed for aircraft seats, was adapted for mattresses by companies like Tempur-Pedic. This material responded to body heat and pressure, creating a sleeping surface that conformed precisely to the sleeper's body shape. The sensation was unlike anything previously experienced. The foam seemed to remember and adapt to individual body contours. Memory foam's unique properties solved several long-standing sleep comfort problems. Its pressure-relieving characteristics reduced tossing and turning by eliminating pressure points. Its motion isolation properties meant that partners' movements were absorbed rather than transmitted across the bed. However, early memory foam had drawbacks. It retained heat and responded slowly to position changes, creating a sensation some users found claustrophobic. The 1980s brought computer-controlled manufacturing to the sleep industry. Automated cutting systems ensured precise construction of mattresses and pillows. Computer-aided design allowed for more sophisticated spring systems and foam configurations. Quality control became more rigorous as manufacturers could test products with unprecedented precision and consistency. Scientific sleep research during this period revealed the complex relationship between sleep surfaces and sleep quality. Studies showed that mattress firmness affected not only comfort, but also sleep architecture, the progression through different stages of sleep throughout the night. This research led to more nuanced approaches to mattress design, with manufacturers beginning to consider not just comfort, but actual sleep quality in their product development. The period saw the development of adjustable beds for home use, adapted from hospital equipment. These beds allowed users to elevate their heads or feet, accommodating medical conditions, reducing snoring, and improving circulation. While initially expensive and primarily marketed to elderly consumers, adjustable beds gradually gained acceptance among broader demographics seeking customizable comfort. Pillow technology advanced dramatically during this period. Manufacturers began producing pillows designed for specific sleeping positions. Back, side, and stomach sleepers each had different support needs. Contour pillows, designed to support the natural curve of the neck and spine, became popular. The period also saw the development of pillows with multiple chambers that could be adjusted for different firmness levels. The 1980s introduced latex foam as an alternative to memory foam and traditional springs. Latex provided responsive support that contoured to the body without the slow recovery time of memory foam. Natural latex, derived from rubber trees, appealed to environmentally conscious consumers. Synthetic latex offered similar properties at lower cost. The material's durability and hypoallergenic properties made it popular among consumers with allergies or chemical sensitivities. Waterbed technology continued to evolve during this period, though the products moved away from their 1970s counterculture associations toward more mainstream acceptance. Improvements included better temperature control systems, reduced motion transfer, and more conventional bed frames. However, waterbeds remained a niche product due to their weight, complexity, and the risk of leaks. The development of sophisticated synthetic materials revolutionized bedding during this period. Microfiber fabrics provided the feel of natural materials with improved durability and easier care. Moisture-wicking fabrics helped regulate body temperature during sleep. Antimicrobial treatments reduced odors and extended the life of bedding materials. Down alternative fills became increasingly sophisticated during the 1980s and 1990s. New synthetic fibers mimicked the loft and insulating properties of natural down while offering advantages in washability and allergen resistance. These materials made comfortable comforters and pillows accessible to consumers who couldn't use natural down due to allergies or ethical concerns. The period witnessed the emergence of sleep specialty retail stores. Companies like Sleep Number, originally Select Comfort, introduced adjustable mattresses that allowed each side of the bed to be customized for different firmness preferences. These stores employed sleep consultants who helped customers find products suited to their individual needs and preferences. Computer technology began to influence sleep research and product development in unprecedented ways. Sleep studies generated vast amounts of data that could be analyzed to understand the relationship between sleep environment and sleep quality. This research influenced everything from mattress design to bedroom temperature recommendations. Environmental concerns began to influence sleep product manufacturing during this period. Consumers became more aware of the chemicals used in mattress and bedding production. This awareness led to demand for products with reduced chemical treatments and more natural materials. The period saw the beginning of organic bedding markets and increased interest in natural latex and organic cotton products. The 1990s brought the development of gel-infused foams that addressed some of memory foam's temperature retention issues. These materials incorporated cooling gels or were engineered with open cell structures that promoted better air circulation. The period also saw experiments with phase change materials that could absorb and release heat to maintain consistent temperatures. Sleep disorder research advanced dramatically during this period, leading to better understanding of conditions like sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, and insomnia. This medical knowledge influenced product design as manufacturers developed specialized products for people with specific sleep disorders. Wedge pillows for acid reflux, specialized pillows for sleep apnea patients, and mattresses designed to reduce partner disturbance became available. The development of more sophisticated spring systems continued throughout this period. Pocketed coil technology became more refined, with manufacturers developing coils of different gauges and configurations within single mattresses. Zone systems provided different levels of support for different body regions. These innovations allowed for more precise customization of support and comfort. Home entertainment technology began to have greater impact on sleep during the 1990s. Cable television provided 24-hour programming, extending potential viewing times. Early home computers, while not yet common in bedrooms, began to influence evening routines. The period saw the beginning of concerns about technology's impact on sleep schedules and quality. The Americans with Disabilities Act, passed in 1990, influenced sleep product design as manufacturers considered the needs of consumers with various physical limitations. This led to innovations in bed height, mattress firmness options, and accessibility features that benefited not only disabled consumers, but the general population as well. Luxury bedding markets expanded significantly during the prosperous 1990s. High thread count sheets, European down comforters, and designer bedding became status symbols. The period saw the emergence of luxury bedding boutiques and the entry of high-end fashion designers into home furnishing markets. Manufacturing globalization affected the sleep industry during this period. Production increasingly moved to countries with lower labor costs, making comfortable bedding more affordable for consumers worldwide. However, this shift also raised concerns about quality control and working conditions in overseas factories. The period concluded with the beginning of internet commerce, which would soon revolutionize how consumers researched and purchased sleep products. Early online retailers began offering mattresses and bedding through websites, though most consumers still preferred to test products in person before purchasing. As the year 2000 approached, the sleep industry had been transformed by science, technology, and changing consumer expectations. The period established principles that would guide future development: the importance of individual customization, the value of scientific research in product development, and the understanding that quality sleep was essential for health and well-being. The convergence of material science, sleep research, and manufacturing technology during these 25 years created a foundation for even greater innovations in the coming century. The modern era had proven that the ancient human quest for perfect sleep could benefit enormously from scientific understanding and technological application, setting the stage for the digital age revolutions that would follow. As we drift into the 21st century, we find ourselves in an era where sleep has become more than rest. It has become data, science, and technology working in harmony with ancient human needs. The digital age has brought innovations to sleep that would have seemed like magic to our ancestors. Yet, the fundamental quest remains unchanged: the pursuit of perfect rest in an imperfect world. Picture a modern bedroom in 2025, where sensors invisible to the naked eye monitor breathing patterns. Room temperature adjusts automatically based on sleep phases, and mattresses communicate with smartphone apps to optimize comfort throughout the night. This is not science fiction, but the reality of contemporary sleep technology, where the boundary between rest and innovation has become beautifully blurred. The new millennium brought the explosion of memory foam into mainstream markets. What began as NASA technology became accessible to millions of consumers as manufacturing costs decreased and production scaled up. Companies like Tempur-Pedic led this transformation, but they were soon joined by numerous competitors offering variations on viscoelastic foam technology. The material that had once been exclusive to space programs was now supporting the sleep of suburban families worldwide. The early 2000s witnessed the emergence of hybrid mattresses that combined multiple technologies in single products. These innovative designs featured pocketed coil spring systems topped with layers of memory foam, latex, or other specialty materials. The hybrid approach allowed manufacturers to address the limitations of individual technologies while maximizing their benefits. Sleepers could enjoy the responsive support of springs with the pressure relief of foam. E-commerce revolutionized the sleep industry during the 2000s and 2010 seconds. Companies like Casper, Purple, and Tuft & Needle pioneered the bed-in-a-box model, compressing mattresses for shipment directly to consumers' homes. This approach eliminated the traditional retail markup and the often uncomfortable experience of shopping for mattresses in showrooms. The convenience of online ordering, combined with generous trial periods, transformed how people purchased sleep products. The bed-in-a-box revolution democratized access to high-quality mattresses. Online retailers could offer premium materials and construction at prices significantly lower than traditional retail. The elimination of showrooms and sales commissions allowed these companies to invest more in product development and customer service. The model proved so successful that even traditional manufacturers began offering online sales and compressed shipping. Smart home technology began integrating with sleep environments during the 2010s. Programmable thermostats could adjust bedroom temperatures based on sleep schedules. Smart lighting systems could gradually dim in the evening and slowly brighten in the morning, supporting natural circadian rhythms. These environmental controls created personalized sleep sanctuaries that adapted to individual preferences and schedules. The development of sleep tracking technology marked a significant advancement in personal sleep management. Devices like Fitbit and later Apple Watch could monitor sleep duration, quality, and patterns. Smartphone apps used accelerometers and microphones to track movement and sounds during sleep. These tools provided unprecedented insights into personal sleep habits and helped users identify factors affecting their rest quality. Advanced sleep tracking evolved beyond simple consumer devices. Companies developed sophisticated monitoring systems that could track heart rate variability, breathing patterns, and sleep stages with medical-grade accuracy. The Oura Ring and similar devices provided detailed analysis of recovery, readiness, and sleep quality. This data helped users optimize their sleep environments, schedules, and habits for better rest. The 2010s brought significant innovations in cooling technology for sleep products. Gel-infused foams addressed early memory foam's heat retention issues. Phase-change materials were incorporated into mattress covers and pillows to regulate temperature. Companies like Chilipad developed active cooling systems that could circulate temperature-controlled water through mattress pads, allowing for precise thermal control throughout the night. Adjustable bases evolved from medical equipment to mainstream consumer products during this period. Modern adjustable beds featured programmable positions, massage functions, and integration with smart home systems. Some models included built-in charging stations, speakers, and even coffee makers, transforming the bedroom into a comprehensive comfort and convenience center. The development of organic and natural sleep products gained momentum as environmental consciousness increased. Organic cotton bedding, natural latex mattresses, and chemical-free processing became important market segments. Companies began offering products certified by organizations like GreenGuard and Global Organic Textile Standard, providing consumers with third-party verification of environmental claims. Customization reached new levels of sophistication during the 2010s and 2022s. Companies began offering mattresses with multiple zones of different firmness levels to accommodate different body regions. Some manufacturers developed modular systems where individual layers could be rearranged or replaced to modify comfort and support characteristics. The ultimate expression of this trend was fully customized mattresses designed specifically for individual customers based on their body measurements, sleep preferences, and health needs. Artificial intelligence began influencing sleep technology in the 2020s. Smart mattresses could learn from users' sleep patterns and automatically adjust firmness, temperature, and support throughout the night. AI-powered apps could analyze sleep data to provide personalized recommendations for improving rest quality. These systems represented the beginning of truly adaptive sleep environments that could evolve with changing needs and preferences. The COVID-19 pandemic significantly impacted the sleep industry and sleep habits worldwide. Work-from-home arrangements changed bedroom usage patterns as bedrooms became offices as well as rest spaces. Increased time at home led to greater investment in sleep comfort and home environment. The pandemic also heightened awareness of the connection between sleep quality and immune function, driving demand for products that promoted better rest. Sustainability became increasingly important in sleep product manufacturing during the 2020s. Companies began using recycled materials, developing carbon-neutral manufacturing processes, and implementing take-back programs for old mattresses. The circular economy concept influenced product design as manufacturers considered the entire life cycle of sleep products from production through disposal. The emergence of sleep clinics and medical sleep specialists influenced consumer product development. Research into sleep disorders, sleep apnea, and other conditions led to specialized products designed to address specific medical needs. The collaboration between medical professionals and sleep product manufacturers resulted in evidence-based designs that could improve both comfort and health outcomes. Virtual and augmented reality technologies began to influence sleep environments in innovative ways. Some systems used VR to create calming virtual environments that could help with relaxation and sleep onset. AR applications allowed customers to visualize how different beds and bedding would look in their bedrooms before purchasing. These technologies represented the beginning of immersive sleep experiences. The 2020s brought advanced materials that seemed almost magical in their properties. Copper-infused foams claimed antimicrobial benefits. Bamboo-derived fabrics offered natural moisture wicking and temperature regulation. Graphite-infused materials provided enhanced cooling properties. These innovations continued the ancient tradition of seeking better materials for comfortable rest, while applying cutting-edge science for age-old challenges. Social media and influencer culture began affecting sleep product marketing and consumer preferences. Sleep influencers shared their experiences with different products, creating new pathways for consumer education and product discovery. The visual nature of platforms like Instagram influenced bedding design trends, emphasizing aesthetic appeal alongside functional benefits. The concept of sleep optimization became increasingly popular, with individuals seeking to not just sleep, but to sleep perfectly. This trend drove demand for increasingly sophisticated tracking, analysis, and optimization tools. Sleep became a quantified experience where data and technology worked to maximize the restorative benefits of rest. As we look toward the future, sleep technology continues to evolve at an unprecedented pace. Emerging technologies promise even more personalized, adaptive, and effective sleep solutions. From mattresses that can diagnose health conditions to bedrooms that respond to biometric feedback, the future of sleep will likely be characterized by increasing integration between human physiology and intelligent technology. The digital age has transformed sleep from a passive experience into an active pursuit of optimization and wellness. Yet despite all our technological advances, the fundamental human need for comfortable, restorative rest remains unchanged. We still seek the same peaceful slumber that our ancestors pursued in their leaf beds and animal skins, though now we pursue it with sensors, algorithms, and smart materials. The journey through sleep's evolution reveals a consistent human truth: our endless creativity and determination in the pursuit of perfect rest. From ancient Egyptian headrests to modern memory foam, from medieval feather beds to temperature-controlled mattresses, each generation has contributed to humanity's collective understanding of sleep and comfort. As we settle into our modern beds tonight, surrounded by the fruits of millennia of human innovation, we continue this ancient tradition. In seeking rest, we participate in one of humanity's most enduring and universal quests, the daily journey into comfort, dreams, and the restorative embrace of sleep. And so our journey through the evolution of sleep draws to a gentle close. From the first leaf beds of our Neolithic ancestors to the smart mattresses of today, we have witnessed humanity's endless creativity in the pursuit of comfortable rest. Each civilization, each generation, has added its own innovations to this timeless quest. As you settle into sleep tonight, remember that you are part of this ancient tradition, the nightly retreat from the waking world into the peaceful realm of dreams. Whether you rest on memory foam or cotton, whether your room is heated by central air or warmed by sunlight, you share this experience with countless generations who sought the same peaceful slumber. Sleep well, knowing that in your rest, you continue one of humanity's most beautiful and enduring traditions. Good night from the Sleep Library.